At age 11, Lucy is left defenseless at her father's tombstone by her callous stepmother, only to find a hidden locket containing a simple address, the first clue that her deceased mother is not only alive, but the invisible CEO of a shadowy, half-billion-dollar global tech empire. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Or if this is your first time here, welcome to a story that's going to take you on an emotional roller coaster you won't forget. I'm so glad you're here with me. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from ****. I love connecting with you all around the world. And listen, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do it now. This story has twists that are going to blow your mind, and you don't want to miss a single second. Trust me on this one. Now, let's get back to Lucy, because what happens next changes everything. Lucy didn't know how long she sat there, shaking in the cold, before the reality of her situation truly hit her. Claire had sold the house. She'd said it that morning, casual as discussing the weather, while Lucy ate cereal at the kitchen counter. The closing is today. Everything's arranged. Pack one bag, just essentials. We're leaving at 3. Lucy had thought they were moving somewhere together. Maybe a smaller house, something they could afford now that Dad was gone, and the medical bills had eaten through everything. She'd packed carefully. Her father's watch, 3 books, the stuffed rabbit from when she was small, clothes for a week. She hadn't understood until the car pulled into Riverside Cemetery, until Claire turned in her seat with those cold, calculating eyes. Your father's life insurance barely covered his debts. The house sale gives me enough to start over, but not with you draining my resources. Claire's voice had been clinically detached, like she was explaining a business decision. You have a mother. She's here. You can stay with her. She's dead. Then you'll figure something out. You're a clever girl, Lucy. Your father always said so. Claire had reached across and opened the passenger door. Out. You can't just leave me. I can do whatever I want. I'm not your legal guardian. Your father never finalized the adoption papers. The smile that followed was sharp as broken glass. Legally, you're no one's responsibility. Now get out before I call the police and tell them you're trespassing in my vehicle. Lucy had stumbled out, pulled her suitcase from the trunk, and watched her entire world drive away. The sky was darkening now, shifting from gray to deep purple. The cemetery would close soon. Then what? Where did an 11-year-old girl with no money, no phone, and no family go when the gates locked? Lucy pulled her knees to her chest and pressed her face against them, trying to stop the tears that burned hot against her frozen cheeks. I'm sorry, Mom, she thought, staring at the engraved name. I'm sorry I don't remember you. I'm sorry I only have one picture and Dad's stories. I'm sorry I couldn't save him. Her father, David McFly, had died 3 weeks ago. Heart attack, sudden and massive, while he was sleeping. At least he hadn't suffered, the doctor said, like that was supposed to be comforting. Lucy had suffered. Every day since had been suffering. And Claire had waited exactly 21 days after the funeral before executing her plan. Lucy's hand moved unconsciously to her pocket, feeling for the one thing she had of her father's that Claire hadn't known about, his old pocket watch. It didn't work anymore, but he'd carried it every day. Sometimes, when things got bad, Lucy would hold it and pretend she could still hear his heartbeat ticking inside it. She pulled it out now, her fingers numb with cold, and flipped it open. That's when she saw it. Tucked inside the watch face, where there shouldn't have been space for anything, was a tiny piece of paper. Folded so small it was almost invisible, wedged into the mechanism with deliberate care. Lucy's heart stuttered. She'd opened this watch 100 times since Dad died. This hadn't been there before. Or had it? Had she just never noticed? Her fingers shook as she unfolded the paper, barely larger than a postage stamp. The handwriting was her father's. She'd know it anywhere, slightly messy but precise, the way he used to write her. Lunch notes. My brave girl. If you're reading this, Clara's done what I feared she would do. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you better. I'm sorry I chose so poorly. Asterisk, asterisk, but your mother is alive, Lucy. She had to disappear to keep you both safe. She's been waiting for you. Asterisk go to Starling Books, 423, Ashford Street, Portland. Ask for the Green Star Atlas. Say, my father sent me home. Asterisk, she's waiting. Be brave. Asterisk, I love you. Dad. Lucy read it 3 times, her brain refusing to process the words.
Alive.
Her mother was alive.
Impossible.
She'd been to this grave with her father every year on the anniversary. He'd cried here. He'd told her stories about Maria, beautiful, brilliant Maria who died in a car accident when Lucy was just a baby. He'd lied?
No.
Not lied. Protected. She had to disappear to keep you both safe. Safe from what? Lucy looked up at the mausoleum, really looked at it for the first time. The marble was pristine, expensive. Too expensive for the struggling single father she remembered. The engraving was professional. Perfect. This wasn't just a gravestone. This was a message drop. Her mother had been alive this whole time, and her father had left her a map. Lucy stood on shaking legs, the paper clutched in her fist. Portland was hundreds of miles away. She had no money for a bus ticket, no phone to call for help, no ID to prove who she was. She was 11 years old, alone in a cemetery as night fell, with nothing but a suitcase and an impossible instruction. Be brave. Lucy looked down at the note again, at her father's handwriting, at the promise that someone was waiting for her. Then she picked up her suitcase and started walking toward the cemetery gates. She didn't know how she'd get to Portland, but she knew she couldn't stay here. So here's my question for you. Would you be brave enough to trust that note? Would you start that journey with no money, no plan, just faith that your father knew what he was doing? Asterisk, asterisk, drop your answer in the comments, because I genuinely want to know what you would do in Lucy's shoes. And if you're already hooked, if you need to know what happens next, make sure you're subscribed, because Lucy's journey from that cemetery to the truth about her mother is going to take us places you won't believe. Now let me show you what happened when Lucy reached those cemetery gates, and who was waiting in the shadows. The cemetery gates were locked. Eliza rattled the iron bars, her small hands barely able to grip the cold metal. A chain with a heavy padlock held them shut. Beyond the fence, she could see the street, cars passing with their headlights cutting through the gathering darkness. Normal people going to normal homes where normal children waited. She wasn't normal anymore. She was a girl whose mother was supposedly alive and whose stepmother had just committed what had to be a crime. Asterisk, think, Eliza. Think like Dad taught you. Asterisk, her father had been a research librarian, quiet, methodical, always teaching her to solve problems step by step. Break it down into smaller pieces, he'd say when her homework felt overwhelming. What's the very next thing you need to do? The very next thing was getting out of this cemetery. Eliza followed the fence line, dragging her suitcase through the grass. Her arms ached. She was small for 11, skinny in a way that made the school nurse frown and ask questions Eliza had learned not to answer. Jillian didn't believe in wasting money on growing children when it came to food. 50 yards down, she found what she was looking for, a section where the fence had been damaged, the bars bent outward just enough for a small person to squeeze through. She pushed her suitcase through first, wincing at the scraping sound, then followed, the metal catching on her jacket. For one terrifying moment she was stuck, trapped between the cemetery and the world, but then she twisted sideways and tumbled onto the sidewalk on the other side.
Free.
But free to do what? Eliza sat on her suitcase under a streetlight and pulled out the note again, reading it for the 4th time. Portland, Oregon. She didn't even know what state she was in right now. She'd been too numb with grief to pay attention when Jillian drove. But she'd seen a sign earlier. Cedar Falls, Iowa. She had $17. A bus ticket to Portland would cost, she had no idea. $100? More? What would Dad do? The question brought tears to her eyes. Dad would have protected her from this. Dad would have made sure she was safe. But Dad was gone, and all he'd left her was a broken watch, a cryptic note, and the impossible suggestion that her mother was alive. "You okay, sweetie?" Eliza's head snapped up. A woman stood a few feet away, maybe 30, with kind eyes and a concerned expression. She wore scrubs under a puffy coat, a nurse probably just getting off shift. Every instinct Eliza had screamed danger. Jillian had drilled into her over the past 3 years never to trust strangers, never to tell anyone about problems at home, never to embarrass the family by asking for help. But Jillian had also just abandoned her in a cemetery. "I'm okay," Eliza said automatically, her voice small. The woman didn't leave. "It's pretty cold to be sitting outside. Are you waiting for someone?" My ride's coming." The lie tasted bitter. "Okay." The woman hesitated. "It's just, I saw you come out of the cemetery, and it's getting dark, and you look—" She trailed off, but Eliza knew how she looked.
Lost. Scared.
Alone. The woman crouched down to Eliza's level, careful not to get too close. "My name's Sarah. I'm a nurse at Cedar Falls General. What's your name?" Eliza clutched the note tighter in her pocket. If she told the truth, Sarah would call the police. The police would call social services. Social services would call Jillian, who was legally nothing to Eliza, or they'd put her in foster care, and she'd never get to Portland, never find out if the impossible note was real. But if she lied and got caught, it would be worse. "Eliza," she whispered, because lying about her name felt like erasing herself completely. "Eliza, that's a pretty name. Are you really waiting for someone, or do you need help?" The question broke something inside her. Eliza felt tears spill over, hot against her frozen cheeks. She tried to stop them, tried to be brave like Dad's note said, but she was so tired and so scared and so cold. "I need to get to Portland," she heard herself say. "Oregon. I have to find someone." Sarah's expression shifted to alarm. "Portland? Sweetie, that's over 2,000 miles away. Who are you trying to find?" "I can't tell you." Eliza wiped her face roughly. "But I have to go. I have to." "Where are your parents?" The question made Eliza's chest hurt. "My dad died 3 weeks ago. My stepmom, she left me here. She said she didn't want me anymore." Sarah's face went pale. "She what?" "She's not my legal guardian. She said so. She said I'm nobody's responsibility." The words came faster now, desperate. "But my dad left me a note. He said someone's waiting for me in Portland. He said to be brave. I have $17 and I know it's not enough for a bus ticket, but maybe I could." Whoa, slow down. Sarah held up her hands. "Eliza, I need to call the police. What your stepmother did is illegal. It's child abandonment." "No." Eliza grabbed her suitcase, ready to run. "No police. They'll put me in foster care, and I'll never find her, and my dad said—" "Said what?" "Who's in Portland?" Eliza clamped her mouth shut. She'd already said too much. Sarah studied her for a long moment. Then she did something Eliza didn't expect. She sat down on the curb, right there on the cold concrete, and patted the space beside her. "Come here. Just for a minute. You don't have to run." Eliza hesitated, then sat, leaving a careful distance between them. "I have a daughter," Sarah said quietly. "She's 9. Her name's Maya. And if someone ever left her alone in a cemetery, I'd hope that a stranger would help her. Really help her, not just call the authorities and wash their hands of it." "You're going to call them anyway," Eliza said bitterly. "Maybe. But first, I want to understand what's happening. You said your dad left you a note."
Can I see it?
Every instinct screamed no. But Sarah's eyes were kind, and she had a daughter named Maya, and Eliza was so desperately alone. Slowly, she pulled out the note. Sarah read it twice, her eyebrows rising. Mendel's books. The Green Star Atlas. She looked at Eliza. "This sounds like a code. Like he was directing you to someone specific. I think my mom might be alive." Saying it out loud made it sound insane. I know that sounds crazy, but the grave is fake. It has to be. And my dad wouldn't lie unless he was protecting something. Protecting someone. Your mom's supposed to be dead? Eliza nodded. Car accident. 10 years ago. But what if she's not? What if that's who's waiting? Sarah was quiet for a long time. Then she pulled out her phone. Eliza tensed, ready to grab her suitcase and run. I'm not calling the police, Sarah said. I'm looking up bus schedules to Portland. She scrolled, her expression growing concerned. Okay, so bad news. A ticket is $230. And you need an adult to buy it for you. They don't sell to unaccompanied minors under 12. Eliza's hope crumbled. So, I can't go. I didn't say that. Sarah looked at her. I said you can't go alone on a bus. But maybe you don't have to. What do you mean? My sister lives in Portland. I was planning to visit her next month, but Sarah took a deep breath, like she was deciding something huge. What if we moved that trip up? What if I drove you? Eliza stared at her. Why would you do that? Because I'm a mandatory reporter and I should call CPS, but I'm also a mother and something about this feels. Sarah gestured at the note. Important. Real. Like your dad was protecting you from something big. And I want to know if I'm right. You drive me 2,000 miles based on a feeling? I drive you 2,000 miles based on a little girl's father leaving her a treasure map to someone who's waiting for her. Sarah smiled. Besides, I've always wanted to see Mendel's books. I hear it's legendary. For the first time since her father died, Eliza felt something flutter in her chest that might have been hope. When, she whispered. We leave at dawn, Sarah said. But first, you're coming home with me, having a hot meal, and sleeping in a real bed. Maya will be thrilled. She's always wanted a sister. And just like that, Eliza finds an ally. But can she trust Sarah? What's really waiting in Portland? Asterisk, drop your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing your theories. Sarah's house was small and warm and smelled like cinnamon. Her daughter Maya was a whirlwind of energy and questions, all dark curls and bright eyes, and she accepted Eliza's presence with the easy grace of a child who'd been taught kindness. Mom says you're going on an adventure, Maya said, sitting cross-legged on her bed while Eliza picked at the grilled cheese sandwich Sarah had made. Can I come? School, baby, Sarah said from the doorway. But maybe next time. Eliza ate mechanically, her mind spinning. This was real. Tomorrow morning, they'd drive to Portland. In 2 or 3 days, she'd walk into Mendel's books and ask for the Green Star Atlas and maybe, impossibly, find her mother. She slept fitfully in Maya's room, the younger girl's soft snoring a strange comfort. Dreams of her father mixed with half memories of a woman with dark hair and gentle hands. Memories so old Eliza couldn't be sure they were real. At dawn, Sarah shook her awake. Change of plans, she whispered urgently. We need to leave now. Get dressed. The fear in Sarah's voice jolted Eliza fully awake. What's wrong? I'll explain in the car. Hurry. 5 minutes later, Eliza was in Sarah's Honda with her suitcase in the trunk, watching the house disappear in the rearview mirror. Maya waved from the window, still in her pajamas, staying with a neighbor Sarah had frantically called. What happened? Eliza asked as Sarah pulled onto the highway, driving faster than seemed safe. Sarah's hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel. I couldn't sleep last night, so I did some research. On your stepmother. Jillian. Her full name is Jillian Gruber, right? Married to Thomas Finch 3 years ago. Yes. Eliza, I found an article from yesterday. She's reported you missing. The world tilted. What? She filed a report claiming you ran away after an argument yesterday afternoon. She's playing the concerned stepmother, saying you're emotionally unstable from grief, potentially dangerous to yourself. Sarah's voice was tight with anger. She's made herself look like a victim and you like a troubled runaway. But she left me. She abandoned me. I know. But it's your word against hers, and she's an adult with lawyers, and I'm a stranger, Who took you across state lines? Sarah glanced at her. If the police find us before we get to Portland, before we figure out what your father was protecting, you'll end up in state custody, and I'll probably be arrested for kidnapping. The fear was ice water in Eliza's veins. We should go back. I don't want you to get in trouble. No. Sarah's voice was firm. Something about this whole situation is wrong, Eliza. Your father's coded message, your mother's fake grave, Jillian's convenient report that makes you look unstable. This isn't just about an evil stepmother getting rid of an inconvenient child. This is bigger. What do you mean? I mean, why would Jillian file a missing persons report for a child she doesn't legally have custody of? Why draw attention to herself at all? Unless... Sarah trailed off, thinking. Unless someone told her to. Who would tell her to? I don't know. But I think your mother faked her death for a reason. A serious reason. And I think your father knew that when he left you that note, he was sending you into something dangerous. Eliza's fingers found her father's watch in her pocket, holding it like a talisman. So, what do? We drive fast. We stay off main roads where there might be highway patrol, and we get to Portland as quickly as possible. Sarah's expression was determined. Your dad sent you to that bookstore for a reason. Whatever's waiting there, it's important enough that he planned for this exact scenario. They drove for 6 hours straight, stopping only for gas and bathroom breaks. Sarah paid cash for everything, kept her phone off, and avoided toll roads. It felt like being in a spy movie, except Eliza's heart was actually racing, and the fear was real. Somewhere in Nebraska, Sarah's phone buzzed with an emergency alert. She pulled over to check it, her face going pale. What? Eliza asked. Sarah turned the screen toward her. It was an Amber Alert. Missing child, Eliza Finch, age 11, last seen Cedar Falls, Iowa. 4 feet 8 inches, brown hair, brown eyes. Maybe with an adult female.
Considered endangered.
If seen, contact authorities immediately. Asterisk, asterisk, Eliza's school photo stared back at her. The one from last year where she'd tried to smile but looked mostly scared. Oh God, Sarah whispered. She escalated. She got them to issue an Amber Alert.
How?
She's not my guardian. She's the last adult who had custody of you, and you're 11 and missing. That's enough. Sarah's mind was clearly racing. This changes everything. Every cop in the Midwest is looking for us now. They sat in the gas station parking lot, the afternoon sun beating down, the Amber Alert glowing on the phone screen between them. You should leave me, Eliza said quietly. I can hitchhike or... Absolutely not. Sarah, you'll lose your job. You'll go to jail. Maya needs you, and you need someone to get you to Portland. Sarah restarted the car, her jaw set. I'm not abandoning you like Jillian did. We're seeing this through. Why? Eliza's voice broke. Why are you doing this for me? You don't even know me. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Then, when I was 12, my stepfather tried to hurt me. My mother didn't believe me. I ran away, and a stranger, a librarian, let me sleep in the library basement for 3 days while she figured out how to get me to my grandmother in Portland. She looked at Eliza. That librarian probably broke a dozen laws helping me, but she saved my life. So now I pay it forward. The grandmother in Portland? Eliza asked. Is she dead now? But my sister Jenna stayed there. Works as a cybersecurity consultant. Sarah smiled slightly. Which might actually be useful if your mother is hiding from something big enough to fake her death over. They drove through the day and into the night, trading highways for back roads. Sarah bought a cheap baseball cap and sunglasses for Eliza at a truck stop, told her to keep her head down, to look like she was sleeping if they passed any police. Somewhere in Wyoming, exhausted and running on convenience store coffee and adrenaline, Sarah pulled into a rest stop. We need to sleep for a few hours, she said. We're no good to anyone if we crash from exhaustion. They reclined their seats, and despite everything, Eliza felt herself drifting off. She woke to the sound of knocking on the window. A police officer stood outside, his flashlight shining directly into the car. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle." Sarah's eyes met Eliza's in the darkness. The officer's radio crackled with static. He was already reaching for his walkie-talkie, already calling it in. They were caught. Everything her father had planned, everything they'd risked, over. But then Sarah did something Eliza would remember for the rest of her life. She rolled down the window just enough to speak, her voice clear and calm and absolutely fearless. "Officer, before you call this in, I need you to know that this child's life is in danger. Not for me. From whoever convinced her stepmother to issue a false Amber Alert." She pulled out her nursing license, her ID, her registration. "My name is Sarah Chen. I'm a pediatric nurse. And I'm taking this child to the one person who can protect her, a person powerful enough that someone is desperately trying to prevent us from getting there." The officer frowned. "Ma'am, there's an Amber Alert, issued by a woman who has no legal custody, who abandoned this child in a cemetery yesterday, and who filed the report only after realizing the child might actually have somewhere safe to go." Sarah's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. "Look at her, officer. Does she look abducted? Does she look scared of me?" The officer's flashlight moved to Eliza. She stared back at him, her father's watch clutched in her hand, and made a choice. "My father died 3 weeks ago," she said, her voice small but steady. "He left me a message saying my mother is alive and waiting for me in Portland. My stepmother tried to stop me from finding her.
Please
let us go." The officer looked between them for a long moment. Then he turned off his flashlight. "I never saw you," he said quietly. "But you've got maybe an hour before the state police do a sweep of this rest stop.
get to Portland.
Find whoever you're looking for, and then lawyer up because this is going to get messy." He walked away without looking back. Sarah exhaled shakily. "Oh my God." "He let us go," Eliza whispered. "He let us go." Sarah started the car with trembling hands. "We don't stop again until we hit Portland. 16 hours. Can you make it?" Eliza nodded, her heart still racing. They drove through the night, through Wyoming and Idaho and into Oregon, chasing the sunrise and the impossible hope that at the end of this desperate journey, someone was truly waiting. As dawn broke over Portland, Sarah's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. * Mendel's books. Back entrance. Come alone with the child. You were seen at the rest stop. We've been protecting your route. Hurry. * Sarah showed it to Eliza. "Someone's been watching us," Eliza breathed. "Someone's been helping us," Sarah corrected. "The question is, who?" "They're almost there, but who's been protecting them? And what's really waiting at Mendel's books? ***, tell me your theories in the comments. And if you're on the edge of your seat right now, make sure you're subscribed, because the next part is going to blow your mind. Mendel's books occupied a narrow brick building wedged between a coffee shop and a vintage clothing store in Portland's Pearl District. The front windows were dark, the closed sign hanging crooked on the door. It looked like any other struggling independent bookstore, exactly the kind of place that would go unnoticed. Which was probably the point. Sarah parked 3 blocks away, her hands shaking from exhaustion and adrenaline. They'd been driving for 22 hours straight, stopping only for gas. Eliza's legs felt like rubber when she stepped out of the car. "Back in trance," Sarah said, reading the text again. "That means the alley." The alley behind Mendel's books smelled like garbage and rain. A metal door painted dark green sat beneath a flickering security light. No sign, no marking, nothing to indicate what it was. Eliza clutched her suitcase in one hand and her father's watch in the other. This was it. The place her father had sent her. The end of the treasure map. Or the beginning of something else entirely. Sarah knocked 3 times. Nothing. She knocked again, harder. The door swung open so fast Eliza jumped back. The man standing there was huge, 6.5 feet of solid muscle, with a shaved head, a scar running through his left eyebrow, and the kind of expression that suggested he ate intruders for breakfast. He wore all black and had an earpiece in his left ear. Not a bookstore owner. Security. Maybe military. Sarah Chun and Eliza Finch. His voice was gravel and granite. Yes, Sarah said, stepping protectively in front of Eliza. The man's eyes, surprisingly gentle despite his intimidating appearance, moved to Eliza. You have something that belongs here. A message from your father. Eliza's throat was dry. The Green Star Atlas. Something shifted in the man's expression. Relief, maybe. Or recognition. My father sent me home, Eliza whispered, completing the phrase from the note. The man stepped aside.
Come in. Quickly.
You were followed for the last 40 miles, but we ran interference. You've got maybe 30 minutes before they regroup. Who followed us? Sarah demanded as they stepped inside. People who don't want this reunion to happen. He locked the door behind them with 3 separate bolts. My name is Owen. I've been protecting this location for 11 years, waiting for this exact moment. They were in a storage room filled with boxes of books. Owen led them through it and into the bookstore proper, a maze of floor-to-ceiling shelves, rolling ladders, and the rich smell of old paper. Beautiful and overwhelming and utterly empty of customers. Where is everyone? Eliza asked. The store's been closed to the public since you left Cedar Falls, Owen said. We've been tracking you since the cemetery. Sarah, your decision to help was unexpected, but appreciated. You've been watching us for 2 days? Sarah's voice rose. You could have warned us about the Amber Alert. We tried. The text at the rest stop. The officer who let you go wasn't random. We contacted him, explained enough to get his cooperation. Owen's expression was grim. You need to understand, this situation is complicated. Dangerous. There are people who've spent 10 years looking for any connection to Amelia Vance, and you just lit up like a flare by moving this child across the country. Amelia Vance, Eliza repeated. Her mother's name, but different. Not Finch.
Vance.
Who is she? Owen studied her for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. The woman in the picture was maybe 35, beautiful in a severe way, with dark hair pulled back and eyes that looked like they could calculate quantum physics while negotiating a merger. She stood in front of what looked like a laboratory, surrounded by equipment Eliza couldn't begin to identify. Dr. Amelia Vance, Owen said, founder and CEO of Vance Dynamics. Biotech research, primarily focused on regenerative medicine and neural interface technology. Worth approximately $500 million at the time of her supposed death 10 years ago. Eliza stared at the photo. The woman looked nothing like the soft, gentle presence from her handful of early memories. This woman looked like she could buy and sell cities. That's my mom. That was your mother before she had to disappear. Owen swiped to another photo. This one showed the same woman, but older, softer, holding a baby with obvious love. And this is her with you. 2 weeks before the faked car accident. Eliza's chest tightened. She was that baby. That woman had held her like she was the most precious thing in the world. Why did she have to disappear? Sarah asked. Because someone tried to kill her. A new voice, female, sharp as a knife. A woman emerged from the back office, mid-40s, wearing tailored pants and a blouse that probably cost more than Sarah's car, with short silver hair and calculating eyes. She looked Eliza up and down like she was assessing a business investment. My name is Vivian Cross. I'm Amelia's attorney, her friend, and for the last 10 years, her only contact with the outside world. She turned to Owen. Jillian Gruber has hired private investigators. They're 20 minutes out. We need to move the child now. Move me where? Eliza's voice came out smaller than she intended. Where's my mother? The note said she was waiting. She is waiting. But not here. Portland was the first checkpoint, not the destination. Vivian's expression softened slightly. Your father's plan was brilliant, Eliza, but it was designed for a scenario where you could move quietly. The Amber Alert complicated everything. We can't take you directly to Amelia now. Too many people are watching. Then, what's the point? Eliza felt tears burning. She'd come so far, risked so much, and her mother still wasn't here. Where is she? Somewhere safe. Somewhere it will take us approximately 4 more days to get you, using a route that will shake anyone trying to follow. Vivian crouched down to Eliza's level. Your mother has been waiting 10 years for this moment. She'll wait 4 more days if it means you arrive safely.
No.
Sarah's voice was firm. No more running, no more secret routes. This child has been through enough. You want to move her? You tell us exactly where and why, or I'm taking her to a police station and letting real authorities handle it. Vivian's eyes flashed. The real authorities include at least 3 people on the payroll of the organization that tried to kill Amelia. You go to the police. This child disappears into protective custody and never comes out. What organization? Eliza asked. Who tried to kill her? We don't know, Owen said. That's the truth. We know it's connected to her research, to a breakthrough she made 11 years ago. We know they wanted her technology and they wanted her dead. We know they have enough money and influence to make people disappear. He looked at Eliza. Your father figured out someone was watching him about 6 months before he died. That's when he created the contingency plan, the note, the locket, this pathway to get you back to Amelia. 6 months. Sarah's voice was sharp. His heart attack wasn't an attack, Vivian said quietly. Thomas Finch was poisoned. Slow-acting, hard to detect, designed to look like natural causes. We didn't realize it until after he was already gone. The room spun. Eliza grabbed the edge of a bookshelf to steady herself. Dad was murdered? We believe so. We can't prove it. Vivian's voice was gentle now, genuinely sympathetic. Jillian was the most likely vector, but she probably didn't know what she was doing. Someone used her to get to him, just like they're using her now to get to you. Why? Eliza's voice cracked. Why do they want me? Because your mother loves you more than anything in the world. Because you're the one thing that could draw her out of hiding. Because if they can't have her technology, they'll settle for hurting her by hurting you. Owen's earpiece crackled. He listened, his expression darkening. They're 15 minutes out. 2 vehicles for operatives. Professional surveillance team. We need to leave, Vivian said.
Now.
Sarah pulled Eliza close. I'm not letting you take her anywhere without me. I'm already in this deep. I'm seeing it through.
Fine.
But we move now. Vivian was already heading for a different door, one hidden behind a bookshelf. Owen will stay here, create a diversion. We go out through the tunnels. Tunnels? Eliza asked. Portland has an entire underground city from the 1800s. We've maintained access to certain sections. Vivian pulled the bookshelf aside, revealing a dark staircase descending into stone-walled darkness. This is where you decide, Eliza. Trust your father's plan and come with me, or trust the system that let Jillian abandon you and see what happens. Eliza looked at Sarah, who squeezed her hand. Your choice, honey. I'm with you either way. From outside came the sound of vehicles pulling into the alley. Eliza thought about her father's note. Be brave. She thought about the photo of her mother, holding her like she was precious. She thought about the 10 years Amelia had stayed hidden, stayed safe, waited. We go, Eliza said. Vivian smiled. Smart girl. Just like your mother. They descended into darkness, leaving Owen to face whatever was coming. Behind them, Eliza heard the sound of the back door being forced open, voices shouting. But they were already gone, swallowed by Portland's underground, racing toward a mother Eliza had been told was dead. A mother who'd given up everything to keep her safe. A mother who was still, impossibly, waiting. The truth is bigger and more dangerous than anyone imagined. What do you think Amelia discovered that was worth faking her death over? Asterisk, asterisk, drop your theories below. And if this story has you hooked, hit that subscribe button. The tunnels beneath Portland were cold, damp, and claustrophobic. Eliza followed Vivian's flashlight beam through passages that smelled like earth and time, Sarah's hand tight on her shoulder. Behind them, the sounds of pursuit had faded, but the fear hadn't. After 20 minutes of walking, they emerged into what looked like a parking garage. A black SUV with tinted windows waited, engine running. The driver's door opened. The woman who stepped out was older than the photo Owen had shown, her dark hair now streaked with silver, her face lined with worry and sleepless nights. But her eyes were exactly like Eliza's, the same dark brown, the same shape. "Mom," the word broke from Eliza's throat. Amelia Vance's composure shattered. She crossed the distance in 3 strides and dropped to her knees, pulling Eliza into an embrace so fierce it drove the air from her lungs. "Oh, God. Oh, my baby. My brave, brilliant girl." Amelia was crying, her whole body shaking. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted this for you. Never wanted you to have to run, to be scared." Eliza clung to her, 10 years of grief and loss and longing pouring out in sobs. Sarah stepped back, giving them space, her own eyes bright with tears. Finally, Amelia pulled back, her hands framing Eliza's face like she was something precious and fragile. "We don't have much time," Vivian said quietly. "They'll figure out the tunnel route eventually." "I know." Amelia's voice was rough. She looked at Sarah. "Thank you for protecting her. I'll make sure you're compensated." "I don't want money," Sarah interrupted. "I want to know what the hell is going on. Why people are chasing an 11-year-old child." Amelia's expression went hard. She stood, keeping one hand on Eliza's shoulder like she couldn't bear to let go. 11 years ago, I developed a technology that could revolutionize neural regeneration, heal brain injuries, reverse Alzheimer's, restore function to paralyzed patients. Her voice was clinical now, the scientist showing through. The applications were limitless, worth billions. "So someone wanted to steal it," Sarah said. "No." Amelia's jaw tightened. "Someone wanted to weaponize it. Turn healing technology into a tool for mind control, for neural manipulation. When I refused, they tried to kill me. I faked my death and went underground." Eliza's mind was spinning. "But why leave me? Why not take me with you?" "Because you are safe with your father. Because a woman alone can disappear, but a woman with a child leaves traces." Amelia's voice cracked. "Because I thought if they believed I was dead, they'd leave you alone." "They killed Dad," Eliza whispered. Amelia's face went white. "What?" "Poison," Vivian said. "We couldn't prove it, but the timeline suggests no."
No, no, no.
Amelia's legs seemed to give out. She sat heavily on the SUV's bumper. Thomas was never supposed to be in danger. He was clean, separate, safe. He figured out they were watching him, Eliza said. 6 months ago. That's when he left me the note. Amelia looked at her daughter, understanding dawning. He knew. He knew, and he didn't tell me because he was protecting. Her voice broke. He was protecting you, getting you ready to run. "Why now?" Sarah demanded. "Why come after Eliza now, after 10 years?" Amelia and Vivian exchanged a look. "Because," Amelia said quietly, 2 months ago, we discovered something. The technology one invented, it has a genetic component. It only works on people with a specific genetic marker." "So?" Sarah pressed. Amelia's eyes found Eliza's. "So, Eliza has that marker. She's one of only 47 people in the world who does. And if they can't have me or my research..." She didn't finish the sentence. The truth hit Eliza like ice water. "I'm the experiment," she breathed. "They want to experiment on me." Amelia pulled her close again, protective and fierce. "They'll never touch you. Never. I'll burn everything I've built before I let them near you." "That's why we're moving her tonight," Vivian said. "To the island facility. Completely off-grid. Totally secure. She'll be safe there while we figure out how to end this." "How long?" Eliza asked. How long do I have to hide? The silence was answer enough. Everything just changed. Eliza isn't just her mother's daughter. She's the key to everything. What would you do in her position? Asterisk, asterisk, let me know in the comments. The island facility was supposed to be 3 hours away by boat. They never made it. The SUV had barely merged onto the highway when Vivian's phone lit up with alerts. Security breaches at 3 separate safe houses, coordinated raids happening simultaneously across the city. They're not just following us, Vivian said, her voice tight. They're dismantling the entire network. Amelia's hands clenched on the steering wheel.
How?
These locations have been secure for years, someone talked. Or someone's been inside our operation longer than we thought. The possibility hung in the air like poison.
A mall.
Someone close enough to know everything. Eliza watched her mother's face shift from shock to calculation to something that looked like grief. Whoever the traitor was, Amelia had trusted them. We changed the plan, Amelia said. Forget the island. We go to the Montana facility, the one only you and I know about. That's a 16-hour drive. Then we drive 16 hours. They made it 6. It happened just outside Bend, Oregon. One moment they were on an empty highway cutting through pine forests. The next, a semi-truck jackknifed it across both lanes, forcing Amelia to slam on the brakes. It's a trap, Vivian said, already reaching for something under her seat. 2 black vans appeared behind them, boxing them in. Men in tactical gear emerged, moving with military precision. Stay down, Amelia commanded, throwing the SUV into reverse. But there was nowhere to go. The vans had blocked the rear. The semi blocked the front. They were caught in a perfect kill box. Sarah grabbed Eliza, pulling her down below the seat line. Whatever happens, stay quiet. Don't let them know you're special. The driver's window exploded. Someone had fired a taser through the glass. Amelia convulsed and slumped over the wheel, unconscious.
No.
Eliza screamed. The doors were ripped open. Hands grabbed Vivian, who fought like a wildcat, landing at least 2 solid hits before someone hit her with a taser too. She went down hard. Sarah tried to shield Eliza, but there were too many of them. They pulled Sarah out of the SUV, forced her to her knees on the pavement. And then someone reached for Eliza. Don't touch her. Amelia's voice was slurred but fierce. She was fighting the taser's effects, trying to move, trying to protect her daughter, even while her muscles spasmed. The man who'd grabbed Eliza paused. He was older than the others, maybe 60, with gray hair and expensive suit under a tactical vest. He didn't look like muscle. He looked like management. Dr. Vance, he said pleasantly. It's been a long time. Hendricks. Amelia spat the name like a curse. You son of a language, doctor. There's a child present. Hendricks smiled down at Eliza. Hello, Eliza.
I'm Dr. Richard Hendricks.
I worked with your mother many years ago, before her unfortunate accident. His hand was still on Eliza's shoulder, not quite painful but unmistakably controlling. You've led us on quite a chase. Let her go, Amelia gasped, still fighting to move. She's not part of this. She's the entire point of this. Hendricks gestured, and 2 of his men hauled Amelia out of the SUV, forcing her to her knees next to Sarah. You disappeared, doctor. You took your research and vanished. We've spent 10 years trying to recreate your work, but it's incomplete without you. And you've proven remarkably difficult to draw out of hiding. So you kill my husband. Amelia's voice was raw with rage and grief. You threaten my daughter. We encouraged your late husband's wife to be practical about her resources. The poisoning was unfortunate. One of our contractors got overzealous. Thomas Finch was only meant to be leverage, not a casualty. Hendricks sounded almost apologetic. But it worked, didn't it? Here you are. Eliza stared at her mother, kneeling on the pavement with blood running down her face from the broken window glass. This woman who'd built a fortune, who'd hidden for a decade, who'd given up everything to stay safe.
Brought down.
Because she loved her daughter too much to stay hidden. What do you want? Vivian demanded. She was conscious again, being held by two men twice her size.
Simple.
Dr. Vance returns to work. She completes the research, and young Eliza here ensures her full cooperation. Hendrix's hand tightens slightly on Eliza's shoulder. You care about your daughter, Amelia.
We all know that.
So let's not make this harder than it needs to be. You want to weaponize neural regeneration technology, Amelia said. Turn healing into mind control. I won't. You will. Because if you don't, we'll start the experiments with Eliza. She has the genetic marker after all. She's the perfect test subject. His voice was cheerful, conversational. We can be gentle, or we can be thorough. The choice is yours. Amelia's face went ashen. You touch her and You'll what? You're in no position to make threats, Doctor. Hendrix looked at his men. Separate them. The mother goes to the California lab. The child goes to the Montana facility. And the attorney and the nurse. He considered. Loose ends. Handle them.
Handle them.
Eliza understood what that meant. Sarah, who'd driven across the country to help her. Vivian, who'd protected her mother for 10 years. Killed because they knew too much. Wait. The word tore from Eliza's throat. Wait, please. I'll do whatever you want. I'll go quietly, I won't fight. Just don't hurt them. Please. Hendrix studied her.
Brave.
Like your mother. But I'm afraid. I have the genetic marker. Eliza interrupted desperately. You said so. That means I'm valuable, right? Use me for your experiments instead of looking for Mom's research. Let her go. Let all of them go. Just take me. Eliza, no. Amelia's voice broke. It's okay, Mom. Eliza looked at her mother, really looked at her for the first time since the parking garage. She saw the lines of worry, the gray in her hair, the cost of 10 years spent hiding and hoping. You've protected me my whole life. Let me protect you now. How touching, Hendrix said. But I'm afraid we need both of you. The child for experimentation, the mother for expertise. It's non-negotiable. One of the tactical team members leaned in, whispered something to Hendrix. His expression darkened. What do you mean, approaching vehicles? 3 SUVs, coming fast from the south. Unknown affiliation. Hendrix swore. It's the backup network.
Move now.
Get the primary targets loaded. Everything happened at once. The approaching SUVs weren't slowing down. They were accelerating, ramming straight toward the roadblock. Gunfire erupted. Someone shoved Eliza to the ground. She hit the pavement hard, the breath knocked from her lungs. Around her, chaos, shouting, more gunfire, the squeal of tires. She looked up just in time to see Amelia break free from her captors, tackling one of them with a fury that seemed impossible for someone who'd just been tasered. Eliza, run. But Eliza couldn't run, couldn't move, couldn't do anything but watch as Hendrix grabbed her mother, pressed a gun to her temple. Enough. His voice cut through the chaos. Everyone stops or Dr. Vance dies right here. The gunfire ceased. The rescue team, whoever they were, stopped advancing. Hendrix was breathing hard, his professional calm cracking. You're all going to back away. We're taking Dr. Vance and the child, and anyone who follows us gets a bullet in the good doctor's brain. He gestured to his men. One of them grabbed Eliza, hauled her up roughly. Mom, it's okay, baby. It's going to be okay. But Amelia's eyes were terrified. They were being separated, pulled toward different vehicles. Eliza fought, kicked, screamed, but the man holding her was too strong. The last thing she saw before being shoved into a van was her mother's face, blood-streaked and desperate, mouthing 3 words, I love you. Then the door slammed shut, the engine roared, and they were moving. Eliza was alone in the dark, being driven to God knew where, separated from the mother she'd just
found.
She curled into a ball on the van's floor and let herself break. She'd been so close. So impossibly close to safety, to having a family again. And now it was all gone. Her father was dead. Her mother was captured. Sarah and Vivian might be dead too. And Eliza was being taken to a facility where they'd experiment on her like she was nothing more than a lab rat. She was 11 years old, and she'd lost everything. Again. The van drove for what felt like hours. When it finally stopped and the doors opened, Eliza was pulled out into a cold mountain night. A facility loomed before her, concrete and steel, windows dark, looking more like a prison than a laboratory. "Welcome to your new home," someone said. They took her inside, down sterile white corridors that smelled like disinfectant and fear. Past doors with small windows showing empty rooms with hospital beds and medical equipment. Test chambers. They were going to put her in one of those rooms. Hook her up to machines. Use her to test technology designed to rewrite human brains. A small part of Eliza, the part that sounded like her father, whispered that she should be brave, that her mother would find a way, that this wasn't over. But a larger part, the part that was still just a scared 11-year-old girl, knew the truth. Sometimes the bad guys won. Sometimes being brave wasn't enough. Sometimes you lost everything, and there was no one coming to save you. They opened a door to an empty room. White walls. Hospital bed. Monitoring equipment. Her cage. "In you go," the guard said, not unkindly. "Doctor will see you in the morning." The door closed with a hydraulic hiss.
Locked.
Eliza was alone. And for the first time since finding her father's note in the cemetery, she let herself believe that maybe this was how her story ended. Not with reunion and safety, but with white walls and machines and a mother she'd never really get to know. She curled up on the hospital bed, her father's broken watch clutched in her hand, and waited for morning. Waited for whatever came next. And tried not to hope because hope hurt too much when it died. This is the breaking point. Everything is lost. What do you think happens next? Can Eliza find the strength to keep fighting? Asterisk, drop your thoughts in the comments. I need to hear from you right now. And if you're still with the story, if you're feeling everything Eliza is feeling, make sure you're subscribed. Eliza woke to footsteps in the corridor outside her room. She'd fallen asleep clutching her father's watch, exhausted from fear and grief. Now gray morning light filtered through the small window near the ceiling, and voices approached. She sat up quickly, trying to look braver than she felt. The door opened. A woman in a white lab coat entered, followed by 2 guards. She was maybe 50, with kind eyes that didn't match the sterile facility. "Good morning, Eliza.
I'm Dr. Patricia Monroe."
Her voice was gentle. "I'm going to be overseeing your care here." "Care?" Eliza's voice was hoarse. "You mean experiments?" Dr. Monroe's expression flickered. Guilt, maybe, or regret. "I know you're scared, but I want you to understand that we're not going to hurt you. We just need to run some tests, take some samples." "Where's my mother?"
Safe.
"At a different facility. She's cooperating, which means you'll both be treated well." It was a lie. Eliza could hear it in the careful way Dr. Monroe said cooperating, like it was something forced rather than chosen. "Can I see her?"
Not yet.
"But if you're cooperative too, perhaps soon." Dr. Monroe gestured to the guards. "We're going to take you for your first assessment now. Please don't resist, it will only make things harder." Eliza stood on shaking legs. She had no choice.
No leverí.
No power. They led her down the white corridor to a room filled with medical equipment, MRI machines, monitors, things she didn't recognize. A hospital bed waited in the center, restraints hanging from its sides like a threat. "The restraints are just precautionary," Dr. Monroe said, reading Eliza's expression. "In case you have a seizure or reaction. I'm not stupid." Eliza's voice came out stronger than expected. "You're strapping me down so I can't fight." Dr. Monroe had the decency to look ashamed. They secured Eliza to the bed. Wrists, ankles, a strap across her chest. The panic was rising, crushing her lungs. She was trapped. Helpless. Exactly what her mother had spent 10 years trying to prevent. We're going to start with a baseline neural scan, Dr. Monroe said, adjusting equipment. It's non-invasive. You'll just need to lie still. The door burst open. Dr. Hendricks strode in, looking agitated. We have a problem. Sir, I'm in the middle of the initial assessment. Dr. Vance isn't cooperating. She's refusing to provide the activation codes for her research unless we let her see the child. Hendricks looked at Eliza like she was a chess piece. We're going to video call. The child needs to convince her mother to comply. They wheeled in a monitor, angled it so Eliza could see. Hendricks tapped keys, and the screen flickered to life. Amelia appeared, and Eliza's heart broke. Her mother was in a similar room, similarly restrained, but her face was bruised and she had a cut above her eye. She'd fought. Of course, she'd fought. Mom, Eliza. Amelia's voice cracked. Baby, are you okay? Did they hurt you?
Ai fine.
How touching, Hendricks interrupted. Dr. Vance, as you can see, your daughter is unharmed. I'd like to keep it that way. The activation codes, please. Go to hell, Amelia spat. That's unfortunate. Hendricks nodded to Dr. Monroe. Begin the stress test. Dr. Monroe hesitated. Sir, she's just a child. She's a research subject. Proceed. Dr. Monroe's hand shook as she picked up a syringe filled with clear liquid. Wait. Amelia's voice was desperate. Wait, don't. What is that? Adrenaline compound. Designed to trigger the genetic marker. See how her neural pathways respond under stress. Hendricks's voice was clinically detached. It will be extremely unpleasant for her, but non-lethal. Probably. You bastard. The codes, doctor. Or we proceed. Eliza watched her mother's face, the calculation, the fear, the impossible choice being forced on her. Mom, don't. Eliza's voice was steady despite the terror flooding her veins. Don't give them what they want. Eliza, baby, you taught me to be brave. You and Dad both. The tears were coming. Now, but Eliza's voice stayed strong. You gave up everything to protect this technology, to keep it from being weaponized. Don't let them win because of me. I can't lose you, you won't, because I'm your daughter and I'm not going to break. Eliza looked at Hendricks. Do your worst. I won't help you, and neither will she. Hendricks's expression darkened. Brave words. Let's see if they last. He nodded to Dr. Monroe. Inject her. Dr. Monroe stood frozen, the syringe in her hand. That's an order, doctor. Dr. Monroe looked at Eliza, at the monitor showing Amelia, at Hendricks. I can't. Sir, I'm sorry, but I can't do this. She's 11 years old. Then you're fired. Give me the syringe. Hendricks reached for it, and Dr. Monroe smashed it against the counter. The clear liquid splattered across the floor. The syringe shattered beyond use. I said no. Dr. Monroe's voice was shaking but firm. I became a doctor to help people, not torture children. Whatever you're paying me isn't worth this. Hendricks's face went purple with rage. You have no idea what you've just done. The lights went out. Emergency reds kicked in, bathing everything in crimson. An alarm began wailing, not the facility alarm, something else. Something that made Hendricks swear viciously. Security breach, someone shouted from a hallway. Multiple entry points. We're under attack. Gunfire erupted somewhere in the building. Hendricks ran for the door, barking orders. The guards followed, leaving Dr. Monroe alone with Eliza. Dr. Monroe immediately began undoing the restraints. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Who's attacking? Eliza asked, rubbing her wrists where the straps had bitten. I don't know, but they're on your side. Dr. Monroe pulled out a key card. This will get you to the loading bay. There's a service exit. Run and don't look back. What about you? I'll face whatever comes. I deserve it for being part of this. Dr. Monroe pressed the key card into Eliza's hand. Your mother loves you more than anything. Get back to her. Eliza ran. The corridor was chaos, guards running, alarms blaring, smoke beginning to fill the air. She followed the signs to the loading bay, her heart hammering, her father's watch clutched in her hand like a talisman. She burst through the loading bay door into cold mountain air and nearly collided with Owen. The huge security guard from Mendel's books stood there with a rifle, flanked by 4 other armed people. When he saw Eliza, relief flooded his face. Got her. Subject is secure. A figure emerged from one of the vehicles.
Sarah.
She looked different, harder, more focused, but when she saw Eliza, the familiar warmth returned. Oh, thank God. Sarah pulled Eliza into a fierce hug. Are you okay? Did they hurt you?
Fine.
My mom, different facility in California. Vivian's team is extracting her right now. Sarah pulled back, checking Eliza over like the nurse she was. We've been planning this for 3 days. Every resource your mother had, every favor Vivian was owed, every contact Owen maintained, all of it coming together for this. How did you find me? We never lost you. Owen's team tagged Hendrix's vehicles before the ambush. We knew where they were taking you within an hour. Sarah's expression was fierce. Your mother wanted to come herself, but we convinced her the California facility was more heavily guarded. She needed to trust us to get you. More gunfire from inside the building. We need to move, Owen said. Hendrix is still in there, and he's not the type to give up. They ran for the SUV. Sarah pushed Eliza into the back seat and climbed in after her, while Owen took the driver's seat. Where are we going? Eliza asked. Rendezvous point, 60 miles north. Your mother should be there in 4 hours if Vivian's team succeeds. And if they don't? Sarah's hand found hers. Then we keep fighting. But Eliza, you need to understand, this isn't over. Hendrix works for people with unlimited resources. Even if we escape today, they'll keep coming. Then we need to end it. Eliza's voice was steady, certain. Not just run. Actually end it. Owen glanced at her in the rearview mirror. What are you thinking? My mom's research. The codes Hendrix wanted. She has leverage. She has the only working version of the technology. Eliza was thinking out loud now, puzzle pieces clicking together. But they have resources and reach. So we can't just hide. We need to remove their reason for hunting us.
How?
Sarah asked. Eliza remembered something her father used to say. The best way to protect a secret is to make it public. We release it, she said. All of it. The research, the technology, everything. Make it open source, available to everyone. Then nobody can weaponize it because everyone will have access to the defensive applications too. Owen was nodding slowly. That's actually brilliant. Mutually assured destruction, but for medical technology. Your mother spent 10 years protecting that research, Sarah said. Would she agree to just give it away? She spent 10 years protecting me, Eliza corrected. The research was always just a means to that end. If making it public keeps me safe, keeps both of us safe. She clutched her father's watch. I think that's what Dad would have wanted. Not secrets and hiding, but the truth.
Public.
Undeniable. The SUV ate up miles, racing through mountain roads toward the rendezvous. Toward her mother. Toward the ending, or the beginning, of everything. Eliza looked out the window at the sunrise painting the mountains gold and felt something shift inside her. She wasn't the scared 11-year-old abandoned in a cemetery anymore. She wasn't even the desperate girl racing across the country on a treasure hunt. She was Amelia Vance's daughter, Thomas Finch's daughter, and she was done running. Eliza just figured out how to end this war. Do you think releasing the research is the right move? Asterisk, tell me in the comments. And if you're feeling the hope right now, if you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, make sure you're subscribed. Morning never came. At 3 a.m., the lights in Eliza's cell went out. Not just dimmed, completely dark, the kind of darkness that felt absolute. Then the emergency reds kicked in, bathing everything in crimson. And alarms started wailing. Eliza sat up, her heart hammering. Through the small window in her door, she could see guards running past, shouting into radios. Breach in the north wing. Multiple hostiles. Get the asset secured. Now. The door to her cell burst open. Eliza scrambled back on the bed, terrified, expecting Hendricks or his men. Instead, Owen filled the doorway, his massive frame backlit by emergency lighting. He had a rifle in one hand and blood on his face. "Come on, kid. We're leaving." Owen. Eliza couldn't believe it. "How? Talk later. Run now." He grabbed her hand and pulled her into the corridor. The facility was chaos. Smoke filled the hallways. Gunfire echoed from somewhere above. Through the haze, Eliza saw other figures, the rescue team from the highway, dressed in tactical gear, moving with lethal precision. "This way." Owen pulled her toward a stairwell. They climbed 3 flights, Eliza's legs burning. At the top, they emerged into what looked like a control room. Computer screens lined the walls, showing security feeds from throughout the facility. And standing at the main console, typing furiously, was Vivian.
She was alive.
Bruised, her arm in a makeshift sling, but alive and working. "About time," she said without looking up. "I've got the main vault unlocked. Amelia's research is downloading now. All of it. Every file, every backup. When this goes public, Hendricks loses his leverage." "Where's my mom?" Eliza demanded. "California facility, 200 miles from here." Vivian's fingers flew across the keyboard. "But we're going to get her." "Owen, status. North and East Wing secured. Hendricks is barricaded in the medical bay with 6 men and the experimental subjects. He's got hostages." "Of course he does." Vivian swore. "How long until backup arrives?" 12 minutes. But Owen's expression was grim. "He's threatening to destroy the research subjects if we breach. 3 people strapped to neural interface machines. If he activates them at full power without the proper protocols, their brains will be fried," Vivian finished. "He'll kill them to make a point." Eliza felt sick. "Who are the subjects?" Owen and Vivian exchanged a look. "One of them is Sarah," Owen said quietly. The world tilted.
Sarah.
Who'd driven across the country to help her. Who'd risked everything, lost everything, just to get Eliza to safety. Now strapped to a machine that could destroy her mind. "We have to save her," Eliza said. "We will. When the tactical team gets here. In 12 minutes. You said Hendricks will kill them if you breach. How long before he kills them anyway?" The question hung in the air. "We don't negotiate with terrorists," Vivian said, but her voice wavered. "You don't," Eliza said. "But he doesn't want you. He wants me and my mom. What if I gave him what he wants?" "Absolutely not. Listen." Eliza's voice was stronger than she'd ever heard it. "I have the genetic marker. I'm valuable to him. If I offer to trade myself for the hostages, he'll take it. He has to. And then we've traded 3 people for 1. Owen said. "Bad math."
No.
Eliza was thinking fast, remembering her father's careful planning, the way he'd taught her to solve problems. "You give him me, but you don't give him me. A decoy, a fake surrender. I go in, you follow 30 seconds behind. He won't kill me immediately. I'm too valuable. That gives you the window." Vivian was shaking her head. "You're 11 years old. I'm my mother's daughter," Eliza interrupted. "And I'm done hiding while other people get hurt protecting me." Owen studied her. Then he pulled out an earpiece. "Put this in. We'll hear everything. You buy us that 30 seconds, and we come in fast." "Owen, this is insane. So is everything else we've done in the last 72 hours. Owen was already moving, gearing up. "The kid's right. Hendricks won't hurt her immediately, and we'll be right behind her." Vivian looked at Eliza for a long moment. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out something small and silver, a locket identical to the one Eliza had found at the cemetery. "Your mother gave me this 10 years ago. She said if you ever found the first one, I should give you this when you were ready. She opened it. Inside was a photo of Amelia holding baby Eliza and a tiny USB drive. It's every file, every piece of research, encrypted with a password only you and your mother know. If something happens to me, to Vivian, to all of us, you have everything needed to finish this. To make the technology public, to protect yourself. What's the password? Eliza asked. Vivian smiled slightly. Ask your mother. When you see her again.
When?
Not if. Eliza tucked the locket into her pocket next to her father's watch. Let's go save Sarah. The medical bay was at the facilities center, behind reinforced doors. Owen and his team positioned themselves in the corridor while Eliza approached alone. Dr. Hendricks, she called out. I want to make a deal. Silence. Then the intercom crackled. Eliza Finch. I was wondering when you'd come to your senses. You want me for your experiments. I'll cooperate. Willingly. Just let the hostages go. Why would I do that when I already have them, and will have you shortly? Because if you hurt them, my mother will never cooperate. Ever. But if you let them go, if you show you can be reasonable, maybe we can all get what we want. Another silence. You're bluffing. Your mother will do anything to protect you. She'll do anything to keep me alive, Eliza corrected. But she won't do anything to keep me comfortable. You can have me as a cooperative test subject, or you can have me fighting every step. Your choice. The seconds stretched. Eliza could hear her heartbeat in her ears, could feel the earpiece Owen had given her, could sense the team positioned 30 seconds behind her. The door opened. Hendricks stood there, looking exhausted and furious. Behind him, Eliza could see the medical bay, 3 chairs with neural interface helmets, 3 people strapped in.
Sarah.
A man she didn't recognize. A woman who might have been a scientist. Come in, Hendricks said. Alone. Hands where I can see them. Eliza stepped forward. The door started to close behind her. Owen's voice crackled in her earpiece. 30 seconds. You've got this, kid. Hendricks grabbed her arm, pulled her toward an empty chair.
Seat.
We're going to. Wait. Eliza pulled free. The deal was you let them go first. The deal was I don't kill them immediately. Sit down.
No.
Hendricks's expression darkened. He pulled out a remote. This activates all 3 interfaces at maximum power. Sit down or I press it. Eliza looked at Sarah, who was conscious but terrified. Their eyes met. Sarah mouthed, "Run." But Eliza didn't run. She thought about her father, who'd sacrificed everything to get her here. Her mother, who'd given up her entire life to keep her safe. Owen and Vivian, who'd fought for her. Sarah, who'd risked everything for a child she barely knew. She thought about the locket in her pocket, the watch, the weight of all that love and sacrifice. And she made a choice. Okay, she said quietly. I'll sit. Just please don't hurt them. Hendricks smiled. Good girl. Finally learning. The door exploded inward. Owen came through first, moving with impossible speed for a man his size. Behind him, for more operatives in tactical gear. Hendricks lunged for the remote. Eliza was faster. She grabbed his wrist, biting down hard. Hendricks screamed, dropping the remote. Eliza kicked it, sending it skittering across the floor. Get the hostages free. Owen roared. His team swarmed the chairs, working on the restraints. Hendricks threw Eliza aside and lunged for a backup control panel. If I can't have the research, no one can. He was hitting keys frantically.
Autodestrukt initiated.
10 minutes. This whole facility. Owen's fist connected with Hendricks's jaw. The older man crumpled. Get everyone out. Vivian's voice came through the comms. He's not bluffing. I'm seeing the countdown from here. 10 minutes until this whole mountain becomes rubble. The team worked frantically. Sarah was freed first, stumbling forward into Eliza's arms. You crazy, brave, wonderful child, Sarah gasped. We have to run, Eliza said. They ran. Through corridors filling with smoke, past automated systems shutting down, around corners where the lights were failing. Owen carried one hostage. His team had the other two. Vivian met them at the stairwell, laptop under her arm. The download finished. I have everything. Now move. They burst out of the facility into cold mountain air. Vehicles waited, SUVs with engines running. They piled in, Owen at the wheel, and the convoy roared away from the facility. Behind them, a countdown Eliza couldn't see, but could feel in her bones.
10, 9, 8.
Drive faster, someone shouted.
7,
6.
5.
They crested a hill, putting rock between them and the facility.
4,
3.
2, 1.
The explosion was massive, a fireball that turned night into day. The shockwave rocked the SUVs, even a mile away. Eliza watched through the back window as the facility collapsed in on itself, burying Hendricks and his experiments under tons of stone and steel.
Gone.
Over. Finally over. They drove for an hour in stunned silence before pulling into a rest stop. Owen made calls while Vivian worked her laptop, coordinating next steps. Sarah held Eliza, just held her, both of them shaking with adrenaline crash. The California facility, Eliza said finally. My mom, already handled, Vivian said, looking up from her screen with the first genuine smile Eliza had seen from her. My backup team hit them 20 minutes ago. Your mother's safe. She's on her way to meet us. Where?
Seattle.
Neutral ground. We'll be there by morning. Vivian's expression softened. You did good today, kid. Really good. Your mother's going to be so proud. Eliza clutched her father's watch, feeling the weight of everything they'd survived. We're really safe now, she asked. It's really over? The immediate threat is over, Vivian said carefully. There will be fallout, legal battles, people asking questions. But Hendricks was the head of the snake. With him gone, and the research about to go public, the people who backed him will scatter. They won't risk exposure. Public? Eliza asked. Owen grinned. Vivian's about to make your mother very famous. Every major news outlet, every scientific journal, every regulatory agency. By tomorrow morning, everyone will know about advanced dynamics and the technology. Can't weaponize what everyone knows about. Sarah squeezed Eliza's hand. You're going to get your life back. Your mother, your safety, your future. All of it.
Eliza thought about that.
About a future where she wasn't running, wasn't hiding. Where she could know her mother not as a ghost or a legend, but as a person. Where she could finally go home. They won. Against impossible odds, they actually won. How are you feeling right now? Asterisk, tell me in the comments. And if you've been on this journey from the cemetery to this moment, make sure you're subscribed. The Seattle safe house was nothing like Eliza expected. Not a sterile facility or underground bunker, but a beautiful craftsman home overlooking Puget Sound, with a garden full of roses and a porch swing that creaked gently in the morning breeze. Eliza stood on that porch at dawn, wrapped in a blanket Sarah had given her, watching the sun paint the water gold. Behind her, the house was quiet. Owen and his team stood guard outside. Vivian was on phone calls coordinating the media release. Sarah was sleeping after their long night. But Eliza couldn't sleep.
Couldn't rest.
Not yet. Because her mother was coming. After 10 years of believing she was dead, after 3 days of running and fighting and nearly losing everything, Amelia Vance was finally coming home to her daughter. The sound of tires on gravel made Eliza's heart leap. A black SUV pulled up. The back door opened, and Amelia stepped out. She looked exhausted, her clothes rumpled, a bandage on her temple from the highway ambush. But when her eyes found Eliza on the porch, everything else fell away. They met halfway across the lawn. This time, when Amelia pulled her daughter into her arms, there was no urgency, no fear, no countdown ticking in the background. Just a mother and daughter holding each other in the morning light, crying and laughing and saying nothing because there were no words big enough. "I've got you," Amelia whispered against Eliza's hair. "I've got you, baby. You're safe. You're finally safe." "I found you," Eliza said. Dad's note worked. "I found you." Amelia pulled back, her hands framing Eliza's face. "You were so brave. So impossibly brave. Your father would be so proud." "He loved you," Eliza said. "He told me stories about you. He said you were the smartest person he ever met. He was the kindest." Amelia's voice broke. "And I'm so sorry, Eliza. Sorry I couldn't be there. Sorry you had to go through this. Sorry, don't." Eliza pressed her hand to her mother's lips. "Dad said you gave up everything to keep me safe. That's enough. That's more than enough." They held each other as the sun rose higher, painting the world in shades of hope. Inside, over breakfast that Vivian somehow managed to organize despite also coordinating the biggest tech disclosure in a decade, they talked. Really talked, for the first time in Eliza's conscious memory. Amelia told her about the research, the neural regeneration technology that could heal traumatic brain injuries, restore function to stroke victims, maybe even reverse degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Technology that could save millions of lives if used correctly. "And that's exactly how it's going to be used," Vivian said, pulling up her laptop. "As of 2 hours ago, every major news network has the story. Every regulatory agency has the files. The technology is public domain now. No one can weaponize what everyone has access to." "What about Hendrix's people?" Sarah asked. "The ones who funded him? Scattering like rats," Owen said with satisfaction. "When the head of the conspiracy dies and the whole operation gets exposed, the money people vanish. They won't risk being connected to attempted murder and illegal experimentation." "So we're really safe?" Eliza asked. Amelia squeezed her hand. "We're really safe. No more hiding. No more running. We get to have a life.
Now.
A real life." "What does that look like?" Eliza's voice was small. "I don't even know where we'd live. Or if I go back to school. Or, hey." Amelia turned to face her fully. "We figure out together. That's what families do. Maybe we stay in Seattle. Maybe we go back to Portland. Maybe we find somewhere completely new and start over." She smiled. "As long as we're together, the rest is just details." "I want to visit Dad's grave," Eliza said quietly. "The real one. Not the fake one where Jillian left me." "We'll go tomorrow," Amelia promised. "And we'll say goodbye properly. Together." Sarah cleared her throat. "I should probably head back to Cedar Falls soon. Maya's with my neighbor, and I need to figure out if I still have a job after disappearing for 4 days." "About that," Vivian said. "I took the liberty of calling your hospital. Told them you were on emergency family leave. They were very understanding, especially after I explained that you'd saved the daughter of a billionaire tech CEO." Sarah blinked. "You what?" "Also, Dr. Vance would like to offer you a position as Director of Pediatric Care at the new Vance Medical Research Center we're opening in Portland. Salary is 3 times what you're making now, full benefits, housing stipend, and a college fund for Maya." Vivian slid a contract across the table. "If you're interested." Sarah stared at the paper, then at Amelia. "You don't have to. You saved my daughter's life," Amelia said simply. "You risked everything, your job, your freedom, your safety, to help a child you didn't know. I can never repay that, Sarah. But I can give you and Maya a good life. Let me do that. Please." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Eliza said. "Please? I want you and Maya close. You're your family now." Sarah laughed through her tears. "Then yes. Absolutely yes." The next day, they flew to Cedar Falls. Amelia, Eliza, Sarah, and Maya, who was thrilled to meet the adventure girl her mom had been talking about. Owen and his security team followed at a discreet distance, but Amelia insisted they stay back. I've been hiding for 10 years, she said. I'm done being afraid. They visited Thomas Finch's real grave, a simple headstone in a quiet cemetery far from the elaborate fake mausoleum where this had all started. Amelia knelt beside it, her hand pressed to the carved name. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you, Thomas. Sorry I brought danger into your life. He didn't think of it that way, Eliza said softly. He told me you were worth everything. That loving you and having me was the best thing that ever happened to him. Amelia wept then, really wept, grieving the man who'd protected their daughter when she couldn't. Eliza knelt beside her mother and placed her father's watch on the grave. I don't need this anymore, she said. I have you now, but I want him to have it back. He carried it every day. It should stay with him. Amelia pulled her close. He loved you so much, baby. So much. I know. And I loved him. Eliza looked at her mother. But I love you too. And I want to get to know you. The real you. Not the ghost or the legend. Just my mom. I'd like that, Amelia whispered. They stayed for an hour, telling Thomas Finch's grave about everything that had happened. About the narrow escapes and the brave choices, and the way his final gift, a note and a locket, had saved their daughter's life. Then they said goodbye and walked away together, mother and daughter, into the future he'd sacrificed everything to give them. 3 months later, Eliza stood in the library of the Portland house Amelia had bought, a beautiful old Victorian with a garden and a tree house and enough rooms for Sarah and Maya to live on the second floor.
She was 12 now.
She'd started at a new school where nobody knew her story, where she was just another kid trying to figure out pre-algebra and making friends at lunch. It was normal and boring and absolutely wonderful. The Vance Medical Research Center had opened last week. The first patients were already being treated with the neural regeneration technology, with stunning results. Her mother's work was saving lives, changing lives, exactly as it was always meant to. And Jillian? Jillian had been arrested for child endangerment and fraud. Turned out she'd been taking money from Hendrix's people to report on Thomas Finch's activities, though she probably hadn't known they'd eventually poison him. She'd taken a plea deal, 5 years in prison, forfeiture of everything she'd inherited from Thomas. Eliza had testified at the hearing. She'd looked Jillian in the eye and told the judge everything, the abandonment, the cruelty, the cold calculation. And when Jillian tried to apologize, tried to claim she'd been scared and desperate, Eliza had simply said, "You left an 11-year-old child in a cemetery with nothing. I don't forgive you. I don't think I ever will. But I hope someday you understand what you did." Now, standing in her library surrounded by books her mother kept buying her, Eliza heard footsteps on the stairs. "Eliza? You ready?" Amelia called. "Coming." They were going to the Vance Center for a special ceremony, the dedication of the Thomas Finch Memorial Wing, funded by Amelia and designed specifically for pediatric neural research. Her father's name would live on. His sacrifice would mean something. Eliza grabbed her jacket and ran downstairs, where her mother waited with Sarah and Maya. "Ready for your big day?" Sarah asked, grinning. "It's not my day. It's Dad's." "It's both," Amelia said, pulling Eliza into a side hug. "You're going to cut the ribbon and say a few words. I wrote something you can read if you want, or you can speak from the heart." Eliza thought about that. About everything she'd been through, everything she'd learned, everything she'd survived. "I'll speak from the heart," she said. The ceremony was beautiful. Hundreds of people, scientists, doctors, patients whose lives had been changed by the technology. Reporters capturing the moment for posterity. And at the center of it all, a plaque with her father's name and a quote Amelia had chosen. Asterisk, "The bravest thing we can do is protect those we love, even when the cost is everything we are." Asterisk, when it was Eliza's turn to speak, she stood at the microphone and looked out at all those faces. "My dad used to tell me that being brave doesn't mean not being scared," she said, her voice clear and steady. "It means being scared and doing the right thing anyway." He was scared the last 6 months of his life. Scared for me, scared of what might happen. But he was brave anyway. He left me a map to find my way home when I needed it most. She looked at Amelia, standing in the front row with tears streaming down her face. And because he was brave, I got to find my mom. I got to have a family again. I got to have a future. Eliza smiled. So, this isn't just a memorial to my dad. It's a memorial to every person who chooses to be brave, who chooses to protect the people they love, who chooses to do the right thing even when it's hard. She stepped down from the podium to thunderous applause. Amelia swept her into a fierce hug. Your father would be so proud, she whispered. I'm so proud. I know, Eliza said. I feel it every day. That night, back at the house, Eliza sat in the window seat of her bedroom and looked out at the garden, at the tree house her mother had built, at the swing set where Maya played every afternoon, at the life she'd never thought she'd have. A soft knock at her door.
Come in, she called.
Amelia entered, carrying something wrapped in cloth. She sat beside Eliza on the window seat. I have something for you, she said. I've been waiting for the right moment. She unwrapped the cloth, revealing a beautiful leather journal, brand new and embossed with Eliza's initials. Your father kept journals, Amelia said. Careful notes about everything, his research, his life, his love for you. I thought maybe you'd like to do the same. Write your story. All of it. From the cemetery to now. Eliza took the journal, running her fingers over the smooth leather. Will you help me? Fill in the parts one don't know. Every single one. Amelia kissed her forehead. We'll write it together. Your story. Our story. The story of how we found our way back to each other. And what happens next? Eliza asked. Amelia smiled. Whatever we want. That's the beautiful thing about new beginnings, baby. We get to write the ending ourselves. Eliza leaned against her mother's shoulder, feeling safe and loved and home in a way she hadn't since her father died. Outside, the stars were coming out, bright against the darkening sky. And somewhere, Eliza liked to think her father was watching, proud of the brave girl who'd followed his map, proud of the woman who'd sacrificed everything to keep their daughter safe, proud of the family they'd protected across impossible odds. She opened the journal to the first page and wrote, My name is Eliza Finch. When I was 11 years old, my stepmother left me at my mother's grave. She thought she was abandoning me. She didn't know she was setting me free. This is the story of how I found my way home, and with her mother's arm around her shoulders and the future stretching bright and wide before them, Eliza began to write. And that's the ending. From a cemetery to a home. From abandoned to beloved. From lost to found. What did you think of Eliza's journey? Drop a comment and let me know your favorite moment from this story. And if this story touched your heart, if it made you believe in bravery and love and second chances, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for reading Eliza's story. And remember, sometimes the darkest moments are just the beginning of finding your way home. Until the next story. Stay brave, stay hopeful, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another adventure.